welcome back everyone to the morning run. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm joined as always by Tyler, my co-host. Tyler, what's going on? I figured we'd just get right into it. I didn't really have anything to say to start it off. Usually I've got something, but what's up, buddy? What's going on?
Nothing much. Pretty chill. You seem like you're in a pretty good mood.
I am in a pretty good mood.
Considering your team has been on the wrong end of some baseball news recently.
Yeah, okay, so I guess we can get right into it, yeah. I am in a pretty good mood, because for all intents and purposes, baseball season has started for me. We've had our fantasy draft for over a week at this point now. Well, tomorrow will be over a week, but spring training is in full effect. Everyone's talking about all the narratives and whatnot. And like you said, the Yankees have had a little bit of bad news hit them early on. There was first the Aaron Judge thing that happened. He seems to be everything going fine there. He's actually going to be hitting in a game in a couple days, I think they said, so that's fine, whatever. But the real news is Garrett Cole. He was pitching batting practice. He threw 37 pitches in a batting practice game, and he came back from that with a very concerning injury. They sent them to their doctors that they have that are affiliated with the Hospital of Special Surgery in New York, some of the best in the country, and they weren't convinced that they could come up with the problem. So they asked for a second opinion. They said, we don't think it's torn or there's a tear or anything, but we're not sure. We need you to go to LA. And so to LA he did, and he went and he saw a doctor, a very famous doctor for his last name. His name is El Atrash. I've never heard of him before, but I looked into him a little bit, and he is a very, very famous and well-respected doctor. He's in charge of the Ducks, the Lakers, the Rams, medical staffs. He was in charge of the Beijing Olympics medical situation. So he's a very important guy. And he had his meeting with that doctor, that orthopedic surgeon, and he confirmed basically what the first set of doctors said, which is good. So he's going to be out for 10 to 12 weeks, they said. And, we'll see what happens. I'm in a good mood hearing all this, because what could have been the worst is that he needed Tommy John surgery. So instead, what we're going to see is him just kind of, rehab.
Just to confirm here, I know you mentioned the doctor's name. Are you talking about this? He went to a Dr. Neil L. Atrach or whatever?
Yeah, that guy. This guy did, yeah.
So I've got a little bit of context around, Neil.
Okay,
our boy,
interesting.
Because Tristan McKenzie, a lot of people may know him, pitcher for the Guardians, suffered an elbow injury last year, very similar to Garrett Cole. There wasn't a tear. They were able to deem that from the MRIs, but they also could tell there was some type of swelling or inflammation. He went to Dr. Neil and pretty much got a almost same kind of time frame of this initial, could be 8 to 12 weeks, which is what we're seeing, anywhere from 1 to 3 months, a large range.
Yeah.
But another thing that happens from this is an incredibly complicated or precise process, you could say, in terms of how you have to build yourself back up, how you have to monitor, how that elbow is going to be monitored every time Cole is pitching significantly. Like a big thing with Tristan McKenzie, he gave his first rehab start, looked good, and then they announced shutting him down for 3 weeks completely from pitching. And you can get a lot of these setbacks that aren't really setbacks. Nothing is wrong with the elbow, but if it continues to go, something can tear. So we need to shut him down for a couple weeks. And that's the thing here with Cole. It's a very long range. We've seen Heyman put as low as 1 month, Faisal put as high as 3 months. People say as much as could be the whole season. I think that's a little unlikely, but I do think it's one of these things where we still don't know how much time it takes. If we look at Tristan McKenzie, got hurt in May, pitched late September. That's a large range of time. But there was also a lot more conservativeness with Tristan McKenzie than there might be with Garrett Cole. So I don't know.
Yeah, all in all, I'm not really too concerned with what we ended up finding out from the second doctor here. I'm pretty happy as I could be for the whole thing. Yeah, like you said, if things go really well, it's 1 month maybe or so. If things go as long as they need to, 3 months. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The Yankees kind of have a better pitching staff that they've had as of late. You have to hope Rodon is going to be the pitcher you need him to be. You have Marcus Stroman. Nestor Cortez hopefully returns back to form. So they're going to be relying on guys early on. But I will say Garrett Cole's been the most consistent pitcher for the Yankees since they signed him. He's never been hurt. really at all. And he won the Cy Young. He's been the most consistent pitcher I think the Yankees have had in a long, long time. And because of that, I'm confident that overall he's going to come back. Like I'm not really, really worried. I'm more worried about what they're going to do in the meantime while he is gone because, I'm pretty confident with Stroman. I like him in Yankee Stadium. He's a ground ball pitcher and he's coming off an All-Star year. I do. I'm confident. And he seems to be reveling in the fact that he's with the Yankees and hopefully going to make the most of his opportunity. I'm concerned about Rodon. I've said a million times. Obviously, I'm not going to really get into that, but I'm going to say I'm rooting for him. Hopefully, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want my team to be in like third place because your best to second best pitcher can't throw a baseball. It just comes down to those bottom end guys, more like Clark Schmidt, Nestor Cortez. These guys are the guys that were sort of inconsistent last year, and we're rolling the dice going with them again. They have to show that there's a reason why the Yankees put the trust in them to make them, have them go around the second time. There's reports that they're going after uh, Michael Lorenzen, who was an all-star last year with the Tigers, the only all-star with the Tigers, as they have that rule. But he was an all-star nonetheless. Then he was traded, I think, to the Phillies to help them make the playoffs. Yeah, he currently, I don't know who he's with. Who's he with right now, Tyler? Do you know offhand?
Who?
Michael Lorenzen.
He's a free agent.
Oh, he's totally a free agent?
Yes.
Oh, I thought they were trying to trade for him, no?
No, the Phillies traded for him last year at the deadline because he was a rental.
You know what? This is so funny because yesterday I sent this article to our group chat, our fantasy baseball group chat, and I was like joking, saying, "Oh, I'd rather have Bauer over Michael Lorenzen," because I thought they were looking to trade for him because they missed out of our next topic, Dylan Cease. And I was like, I wouldn't give up anything to trade for Michael Lorenzen. Oh, so they might sign him as the reports. I was wrong. In that case, you know what? I don't mind that, honestly. That's fine. Just go with that. That's, see what you can do. I like Matt Blake. I really do. Really, Rodon is the only guy that he hasn't really been able to turn around in some fashion. And Rodon had a reputation beforehand. So it's not that's a whole other situation. I'm pretty confident that a guy like Lorenzen, who's been able to convert to a starter, be pretty effective the last couple of years, could reach another level with the Yankees under Matt Blake's tutelage, at least for the first few months, then make him a reliever, which could also be very effective. It's a good move, especially since any sort of uh, Blake Snell deal will probably be multi-year. It won't be a one-year deal. Although he might end up doing the opt-out thing that the Giants did with Matt Chapman, and who was the other guy that got like that weird opt-out deal. But they, I'm confident with the Yankees. We have plenty of time. It's really not really something I'm worried about. The thing I was more worried about was Aaron Judge going down with his rib issues, and he seems to be totally fine with that. So, because I think what's imperative for the Yankees is having Juan Soto, Aaron Judge back to back in the lineup from the start of the season, just as healthy as they can be, doing what you can, and that seems to be on track at this point. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, because amongst all this trade, all this trade struggles that the Yankees have, all the pitching struggles that the Yankees have had, they went out and they tried to go get Dylan Cease. Now, Dylan Cease did not go to the Yankees. He did not switch his Chicago pinstripes for the New York pinstripes. He instead went out to San Diego and is a member of the Brown and Gold. Tyler, any thoughts about the Dylan Cease trade? He is now a San Diego Padre. The White Sox are severely rebuilding. So, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Initially, I think it's a good trade for the White Sox. I think they got a lot of value for Cease. I know they had a high asking price, and that they received. They got Drew Thorpe, Samuel Zavala, Jairo Arante, 3 organizational top 10 prospects. And they also grabbed Steven Wilson, an MLB arm for the White Sox. Hey, that's actually useful. Like, go look on a roster resource in their full pitching staff with their bullpen. Like, I'm not joking. Just having an MLB arm is valuable. And getting that in addition to 3 organizational valuable prospects is good. And then, like, I think it's almost comparable to the Juan Soto deal. And I thought that was a good deal. Now, I would say, yes, they got more from that deal. You know what I mean? Like, but I think it's almost pretty close. And fascinating to me that the White Sox were able to hold out as long as they did and eventually got what they wanted. I think in the beginning of the offseason, a lot of people in the MLB were like, no way. They were asking for the stars and the moon and more for Cease. We are good. And the White Sox held firm. They said, we don't need to trade him. We will only trade him if we get what we want. And then you lead to this situation here close to opening day. We get desperate. The Padres feel desperate and they make the move. And then the White Sox win and get what they want. So I like that. On the Padres side, I'm not very high on them, haven't been very high on them for the past few seasons. Losing Juan Soto, losing Blake Snell are not going to help them. I don't think bringing in Dylan Cease brings them to another level here. So I think I'm a little puzzled by that move. I understand they do really need pitching, so that does help them there, and it gives them a more frontline guy with Joe Musgrove. But I don't think this helps them make a dent in the playoff race in the National League.
Yeah, it's going to be a crowded division, obviously, with the Dodgers really just looking to dominate. But, the Padres have to do what they can. I think it's also, all in all, a decent move both ways. Like you said, it's a weird offseason for Drew Thorpe being traded to the Padres, probably spending, what, like 2 weeks with the team, 3 weeks with the team, like in spring training, I mean. And then pack your bags. I think you're going to Florida now because I'm pretty sure the White Sox are in Florida, not Arizona. So that's what a ridiculous offseason for him. But him and Jahiro Iriarte, they become top 10 prospects for the White Sox like that. So that's nice to see. I know Samuel Zavala is a very high upside kind of guy. He has the chance to be a pretty good prospect or a pretty good player, but there's also a chance for a big bust in that. So, I think you got what you looked for if you're the White Sox. You probably weren't getting something like that from the Yankees, which is why, that didn't happen, obviously. And from any other team, we kept hearing, like you said earlier, the asking price for Dylan Cease was insane. And that's why it took this long for it to happen. I'm happy, though, that it did happen because when you look at stuff like Manny Machado's trade from the Orioles to the Dodgers, it reminds you of times where teams wait way too long to cash in on the guys that aren't going to be remaining with the organization long term. And so I think they got what they were looking for as much as they could. And the one thing I didn't want to say is it's kind of funny. Steven Wilson, he was on the Padres, traded to the White Sox now. It's pretty funny. I've been seeing pictures from the Seoul series, all the advertisements. He is in the advertisements in Korea, like on flagpoles and stuff, as a member of the Padres. They're gonna have to change that because he's no longer with the team. So it's an interesting thing. And I also saw Dylan Cease was unable to catch the plane to join his teammates, so he's solo traveling to Korea right away too, on top of being traded to a new team. So this whole trade is just a mess, I think. But I like it. I like to see trades like this happen, and it's interesting. It'll be interesting.
Another note, the White Sox, we have discussed before
Mm,
about how terrible they are at producing prospects then that are MLB serviceable players,
yes.
and how much they struggle there. Well, 6 of their top 10 guys are guys acquired in the last calendar year from other teams. So
Hmm.
obviously they struggle with developing guys internally. So it's good that they're going out and acquiring people, but also in another sense, in really just trading the best player, Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito, and then others, you're able to fill in 6 of your top 10, prospect. You're getting that's a good overhaul, little mini retool there from the White Sox, by just not even like trading a Luis Robert, not trading Eloy Jimenez, not trading those guys that are still
Yeah,
the top. And
it's true.
they're able to, and I'm not saying their farm system is anything great or in the top of the league, but just to be able to bring in 6 guys that can fit the bill as top 10 prospects is so huge
Yeah.
for your organization.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we can continue to see that as the year goes on. You could still ship off some guys, I think. I know Yohan Moncada's a lost cause. He has a pretty high contract still attached to him, right? Like average annual value. But he's completely, that's probably the only reason he still has a job because he's year after year is just completely shot down. But on the off chance he can figure something out, he must be a free agent soon. Because I think there could be something there. with a infielders come time for a playoff chase, can be very valuable. Chances are that probably won't happen, but if when you look at the rotation, they made some trades. They brought in Michael Soroka, and then they also signed Eric Fetty out of the KBO. If either of those guys resemble anything like a serviceable pitcher, I would not be surprised the White Sox shipping them off to some team, especially as we see right now, pitching as it's always is so unpredictable, so injury prone. So I think they're still in the mode of looking to trade pieces. Michael Kopech, who is someone that they've time and time again given the chance to start, and he just fails at it. He gets hurt. Can't. He's now out of the rotation. He's in the bullpen. If he can turn that around, become a serviceable reliever, boom, he's out too. I see that. They've got all these candidates. I think here and there of guys that you could still ship off if they can produce anything around Yohan Moncada. Around Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez and Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn's a guy that could also be traded. I think he is probably coming up to being a free agent very soon. I'm not quite sure, but he's been with the team for a while, for a decent since 2019. He's been with the team, so yeah, that seems like that's about 5 or 6 years. So he's coming up on being a free agent, unless he has a contract I don't know about. So that's also a guy that they can move. There's still a lot to do if you're the White Sox. So you just have to hope the team itself can go out there and put something up of value so you can continue to rebuild because they're in a unique situation, Tyler. Their division stinks. So it's not like if when the Orioles did a rebuild, they had to just go full. We're going to lose as many 100 games as we can because we have the Yankees every year, we have the Red Sox every year, we have the Rays. This division currently right now, the way it stands, the Guardians are content with being cheap and maybe competitive, maybe not. So are the Royals. So are the White Sox in the past. Like all these teams kind of act in the same mode where we're not going to be spending that extra amount of money. We're going to compete if the team puts out a competitive team. But if it doesn't, well, we're acquiring that high draft pick. We're going to get that revenue share. And so in that way, if this team, the way it's put out with Benintendi, Robert, Jimenez, Vaughn, that's really it. That's anyone of notice. If those guys can string together some wins, all right, maybe we have a chance at shipping those guys off. But it's a big if, I think, though. We'll see what they can do with the resources that they have, but I think there's still room for more of a rebuild. And very quickly, I wanted to say what they've done with their prospects. These guys that when you look at the first like 5 or 6, those are all guys that I think, while you said, yes, we're not trying to say the White Sox have the best farm system, those are all guys that you would hope to expect become contributors in a pretty unique way. Drew Thorpe, I know pretty uniquely as he was a Yankee prospect a few months ago. He's considered a guy that could be a top of the line rotation piece. You probably know more about that guy, Yahiro Iriate, but he seems like they're pretty similar in terms of how they're viewed. He's ranked higher. Brian Ramos, Noah Schultz, and Colson Montgomery are all guys that I think people are very high on in general, but all different time periods. So we'll see. We'll see. Do you have anything to add before we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, I got a couple notes to add because you mentioned these guys and the Central that just seem to be cheap as hell. We know the White Sox, the largest free agent contract in history, is $75 million to Andrew Benintendi. For the Guardians slash prior team name, and this I'm not including free agents that were originally on their team.
Yeah, of course.
This
had to be signed.
Although they were free agents, like because Jose Ramirez, not counting that contract, their largest contract is Edwin Encarnacion.
I do remember.
Now, if we go to the Royals, I'm gonna talk about their number one contract because it's technically Alex Gordon, but he was on their team.
Is it Edison Volquez?
At $70 million. But my favorite part about this, number 3, until Ian Kennedy beat this, stood from in December 2006. And I remember as a 6-year-old watching the Royals and this popping up on the screen as the largest contract in history for them. And at the time I was like, this is really garbage. It's Gilmish, 5 years, $55 million. Absolutely just hysterical stuff. I remember I believe this was like a massive contract for the Royals. They didn't do anything like this, but that is the context. I just want to say of competitiveness. You were talking about it. It's like, yeah, these teams are not really financially invested in these
Yeah.
teams. Um, I didn't include the Tigers and
Oh yeah, the
the
Tigers also are in this
um
situation. Well,
why am I blank?
they
The Twins. The Twins, I say recently have done like if we're, I would say, yeah, maybe
well
the
the
Twins
Twins
are
got
not. Well,
Correa.
the Twins are not like in a heavy. They're not a massive investing team. But I
Yeah.
think if we're comparing them, if the bar is the AL Central, they clear that bar by a large margin.
This is
And
true. This is
the
true.
Tigers, yeah, they've been bad for a while, but like when they were good, they were investing. Like they were putting money into. I'm talking about really good.
Yeah.
Way like
That's
earlier
true.
in
That's true.
last decade.
I said
So
that's why I did say like at this point in time the way the Central is, right? Because the Tigers made my life hell as a middle schooler with with the way those teams were put together. Mike Ilitch just wanted to win so badly. And the thing with the Twins though, I will say is I think they'll go out and spend a little in free agency because they're not very good at producing prospects. They're just very not. Like I'm trying to think of it off of the top of my head. Johan Santana is maybe the only guy that I can think of
well,
that is
Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau.
yeah. All right. Listen,
Those
Joe
guys
Mauer's
were
a Hall
top
of Famer.
prospects.
Yeah, no, I know, but like Justin Morneau is 100% forgettable. Come on. He was good in his time. Yes. Okay. They did like, yeah. All right. That's a
You,
hit.
I'm pretty sure Bro won like an MVP.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess he
That's
might.
not
Yeah. He
you're
might
not
have.
forgettable if you win an MVP.
I mean, all right. Mauer, you got me. You definitely got me with Mauer. But like, but what I'm trying to say is like, they're not really known for like, yeah, even if I
He won
give you
MVP, four-time
Morneau.
All Star.
All right. Yeah, all right. Good for Justin Morneau. Good for him. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they don't have that. Those are three guys that I can think of that don't come from like the 80s or
We're
before them,
talking about
like
when we were children.
yes,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
that's
Like only
pathetic.
three guys. Yeah, that's crazy. Like of a whole 25 man roster and just but no wonder they lost every playoff game they ever went into. But it's so they'll go out and they'll compensate by actually trying to spend a little bit. They because they are a pretty old team. They originally come from the first Senators team in DC. So, the franchise has a long history. They have at least that generational money that they could put out. Maybe. But so did the Tigers, and they're not really doing that anymore. But the next topic I wanted to talk about is
Wait, because you mentioned Johan Santana.
yes. Was
Um,
he
is
not a homegrown player? Was he
oh
traded
no,
to
no, no. I'm pretty sure he was, but I'm just
yeah.
saying, a guy intertwined with Jose Santana's career. Want to shout him out, Carlos Gomez. I believe Bro is becoming a professional cyclist, trying to qualify for the
Yes.
Olympics.
Yes, good for him.
I believe he actually has a chance. It's not
Where's he
like,
from? He's from Puerto Rico, right?
yeah, it's not impossible. He's not
No, of
terrible
course. No,
from what I've
yeah.
gathered. Yeah.
Well, small countries like that will send like 10 people overall, so they're just happy to get people that can qualify and compete. So it's, if you have that
Well,
opportunity,
the
go do it. Go
Olympics, and
do it.
this is always so weird about the Olympics. It just trips me out how like they have the qualifiers in the
Yeah.
Olympics and then the final. And from what I've gathered is he might make it past the qualifiers, which is like
Yeah,
okay,
good for
you're
him.
a professional baseball player. Shout out. That's pretty much it.
So, well, the other thing I wanted to say is it'll be really funny if he gets a medal, like in the Olympics. Let's say he gets gold, and he's up there on the podium, like jumping around, like he robbed a home run, like he used to do.
Well, where's the Johan Santana right now?
Not doing
Not
it.
competing in the Olympics.
You're right.
Who
You're
won the
right.
trade?
He's probably polishing off his two Cy Youngs. Uh, but the other topic that we have today is the Seoul Korea series that whole thing going on, and it's an interesting situation because every few years you educated me on this. I thought this was like I know they went to Korea and they went to Japan before, but the I never knew like they did this weird scheduling thing all the time. They're actually playing games before spring training is done with, so that whole thing is happening. Whatever. It is what it is. We don't really need to talk about it. I just wanted to say it out loud. But the games are being held March 20th and 21st. and they're heading over there now because they're going to be doing some exhibition games actually. So I think this is really nice. It's going to be Korea's championship team. I think the LG Twins facing off against the Padres, and then they're going to face off against the Dodgers, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see because there's actually an American that pitches. He's like the ace for the Twins in Korea, Casey Kelly. I think he pitched for Arizona or something at one point, but he is dominating the KBO, so it'll be interesting. It'll be nice for him. That'll be really good for him to compete against actual major league talent. Maybe when he becomes a free agent the next time around, he'll have a little bit of extra ammo to come back to the States one final time. The whole thing is just very interesting for me. I kind of like the whole situation. We've got the captain of the Tottenham Hotspurs in the English Premier League. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's South Korean, and he was advertising the whole thing on his Instagram page, saying you guys got to go out and watch it. So that's a little bit of extra publicity that we don't normally get for baseball. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, it's just the whole event. I kind of like it. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, my thoughts very similar to you. In the sense of obviously, I think I like it a lot. You mentioned that they've done this in the past.
Hmm.
A few years back, they went to Seattle, played, could not tell you. I think maybe Toronto.
Yeah, it
Obviously
might
there
have
was
been
a
Toronto.
sentimental moment with Ichiro and the community there, but also Yusei Kikuchi.
Hmm.
Now
That
they
was in
might have
Japan.
they might have done this another time in between, but I also recall in 2008, the Red Sox and the Athletics went over to the Tokyo Dome to
Yeah,
play. Similar
yeah.
style. You may think why. Um, this one is very obvious. Second season of Daisuke Matsuzaka. Red
Ah,
Sox getting that call for sure. So definitely makes a lot of sense that we're seeing it. And obviously, before it was very marketed. We're seeing these teams like the Mariners, Ichiro. We're seeing Daisuke Matsuzaka. I like the fact that we keep going international. It's not just, oh, we have this specific opportunity to go over there. We're getting consistent eyes on the game. It's not always related to, oh, we've got this player we have to market. It's more, we're marketing the game to these countries. And that's
yeah.
amazing. That's great. Love that. I'm also a little interested to see in the exhibition games who pitches. I would
Hmm.
assume the way I would assume, because it was a 2 game series or 3 game series they
It's a
play
two-game
over there.
series. It's a two-game
Okay.
series. They got
So
Glasnow and Darvish game one, and game two is Musgrove against Yamamoto.
like I would think whoever the three is would probably just pitch that game in the
Yeah.
sense of like, and they'd probably treat it more conservatively, almost like a spring training game,
Yeah,
but like
it's
a mini,
100% this.
like I
Because I
would
think
still
it's even double
pitch.
headers. I think they got
Yeah.
double headers.
Oh,
So
it's double headers.
I think I need to go on the MLB app again, but I saw like multiple games against the Twins versus the Padres. Maybe it's back-to-back days and then back-to-back days against
Because
the
I will
Dodgers,
be
but
interested in those games to look at how they treat them for sure.
mhm.
Because I would like to see almost like, you know, I think probably like a WBC level of competitiveness, in the sense of like, yeah, this isn't the regular season. Let's not, do anything stupid here. Like throw anyone crazy amount of innings and whatnot. But
No, it's
like,
not double
I
headers,
would,
sorry. It's
I would
regular
like to see a
season.
competitive
Oh
affair,
no,
you know?
no, yeah. Actually, no, no, no. Okay, so on Sunday, the Padres played the doubleheader against They first played the Korea team, just Team Korea, and then they play the LG Twins. And then Monday, it's a doubleheader for the Dodgers. No, no. Monday, the Dodgers just play Team Korea, and then Tuesday they play. No, okay. So the Dodgers are just not playing the Twins. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Jung Ho Lee is from South Korea.
Okay. Well, for some a little bit of context there, I was texting Victor in the Zoom chat about where Jung Ho Lee is from, just to confirm. I was pretty sure it was Korea, but another example there. They didn't bring the Giants out here. Obviously, I don't know when they determined this.
I think many people
Probably
thought the
before,
Padres were going to sign him, though. I think
maybe. Yeah.
that's
Okay. But
well,
like,
they've
I
got
still
Hyung Soo Kim and they've got the other that reliever. I can't pronounce his name, but a lot of it was that Hyung Soo Kim was trying to bring as many Korean guys as he could. Like that was what a lot of the narrative was. No, that was a narrative. Like
it's like
he
no, but
just
it's like the Korean version of like LeBron James, like building like
yeah,
a
no,
super
exactly.
team.
That's exactly like they were trying to use any advantage of getting talent as they could, and one was using their
Sure.
star
I have
Korean
a
player.
question about that, Victor.
Yeah.
You know, we have tampering
Yeah, no, that's
rules in
100%
all sports,
tampering.
but like, is it internationally? Can like a MLB do like fully legally like is that
Yeah, I
against
don't
the
know.
MLB rules? I don't
I don't
know.
exactly know because like I
That's
know
low key kind of crazy,
I
bro.
also know that the Yankees had a representative at Yamamoto's at every one of Yamamoto's starts in 2022, not even this his last season. And that representative would talk to Yamamoto after games and like try to take him out to dinner sometimes and stuff. So like I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit like international espionage. Like it's highly frowned upon. We don't know what the rules are, but people still engage in it. And it's a lot of well. Also, think about what happens in South America. We've got we've got grown men going around the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, like the tempting the parents of children to like sign with teams. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't think the international rules are that stringent. It's just about signing the
Oh,
player.
yeah, but bro, you're forgetting they weren't there to just catch up with
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto. No, they were
Yeah.
there to talk to their old buddy Marwin Gonzalez.
Yeah, bro. Marwin Gonzalez, what a
I
legend.
checked him out. He's on the roster.
Yeah, he was on he was teammates. That team is apparently very good. Like they've got two other young pitchers that have the potential to become like a Yamamoto type transplant into the United States in like 4 or 5 years. So that's funny. But and then Yamamoto's unique windup is also being studied by other pitchers around the league that want to get better. It's so hilarious. The guy's got like a 7 ERA in spring training right now. I'm
I
just pointing that out
low
there.
key. I
Second.
kind of intrigued by this league. The KBO in particular, I think like I'm very interested in how just it'll match up in a sense versus an MLB roster. I think these styles of games are always very interesting and the way the KBO and the Nippon League, I know they're not the same, but similarly constructed with the way they have protection clauses among a lot of their players and limits on how many international guys can be on a roster. It always makes for a quite interesting game because, you know, it's style of baseball that you have to adjust to. These are, it's not like, oh, it's a bunch of MLB rejects that we can check out all the film on and no problem. Like, there's just a couple of those guys, and then it's all kind of brand new in a sense from the MLB to the Nippon League. We see this happen like in basketball. A lot of the NBA guys struggle with like the FIBA style of play.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you know, I think Japan, it's not that they play baseball differently, but there's obviously different styles and different ways in which players are coached and taught and all that. So I always think it's an interesting matchup when we see these teams face off.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know from a little bit of watching the KBO back in 2020, I was one of those people who really wanted to try to get as much baseball as I could. There, so the competitiveness, the Team Korea team will be interesting to see, but the competitiveness, sorry, I couldn't say that, of the league is a little bit lower than even the Japan league. But what I will say is that the Japanese league is known for the deception in the way that they pitch. The KBO league has more velocity in it. So they still pitch with a level of deception that you see in the Japanese windups, but a lot of Korean pitchers throw much harder. So the average velocity of the pitchers are going to be a lot harder. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure because you have all these MLB hitters that are used to high velocity, high velocity, high velocity. Yeah, it's kind of a fun matchup. It'll be it'll be cool. I think it'll be cool. I'm going to be interested to see, honestly, how the Korean teams do against the MLB pitching because I think that's more the a draw for us just to see how our American teams match up against their domestic teams. But you know, you talked about the few times that we've played our seasonal games in the country. We send all stars in the winter all the time. We do it with Barry Bonds did a whole tour with teams in Japan. We had teams, you know, every so often we send like a group of MLB All-Stars, we call it, over to play Team Japan or Team Korea. And sometimes we get our butt handed to them. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting
Are they saying
couple.
Barry Bonds just like to play with Korean teams or against?
No, they in like 2004, I think it
Like he
was. They
did like a tour almost.
It was a tour of MLB All-Stars, but Barry Bonds was like the center of it because he
But
just
were
broke
they
the
their own
record, I think.
team?
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
Team
so
America versus
for a
like
second, I thought
Team.
your time was kind of like a Will Ferrell situation.
No, 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 no. No, he didn't play on the Japanese teams. But he also did his own like home run derby in front of Japan. Like it was really focused around Barry Bonds. Okay, any final thoughts, Tyler?
No, I don't really think so. Still waiting on Snell and Montgomery to sign. Will they sign? Who knows? At this point, with Snell, I don't think he'll sign until that draft pick gets chopped off.
Wow. Wow. So if you think that, then my prediction's out the window with the Angels because at that point they don't sign him to try to compete at the get-go. They're not gonna invest in him almost midway through the season.
Because they'll be out of it.
Yeah, by that point, 100%. I think you're probably right about Snell in that aspect. My final thoughts, actually, though, are this whole spring breakout thing that we've been doing. I think, as far as I know, this is the first time that we've done this, where we have teams of prospects facing teams of prospects on TV where you can monitor it. So they've made a big deal about Paul Skeens striking out Jackson Holliday the other day, or like yesterday, because they had faced in an actual MLB spring training and Jackson hit him pretty well. It was so now it's a chance. I think it's cool. If you guys have the chance, check it out. If you're going to be watching spring training games, maybe check these out because these are young guys playing in almost a competitive fashion because it's marketed that way. And all these guys that got reassigned are you're still able to watch them. So that's my final thoughts. Check out the spring breakout. Day 2 begins today.
Yeah, super excited for spring breakout. Obviously, so many studs are going to be in that game. So hype. I think that takes us to the end, though, of this podcast. Victor, I know you normally do this, but I feel inspired today. I wanted to close it out.
Okay.
Make sure you guys follow the podcast on Twitter, Morning Run 8. I want 5 stars on Spotify. With that, please. The rating goes a long way. I know we've been talking about our baseball previews on the Twitter, and we've been behind with that. We haven't really gotten there, but trust me, we are going to get those out. I know the season starts soon, but we're going to do some stuff there. We're going to be active. Get ready. I'm excited. Victor, anything you want to say before we're fully done here?
No, you actually covered it all. Thank you.
As always, guys, it was wonderful talking to you guys. See you soon.
See you next week.